The Rover 200 is the most recent of the three cars we've got on test in part one, and perhaps the most modern looking as well.
Yeah, it is by far. This particular shape of the Rover 200 was launched in 1994 and is still available present to date.
Any major problems you've run into with the 200s?
Very honestly, yes. We have encountered a few problems with the Rover 200 series. Predominantly it seems to be down to the K-series engines. We've had a couple of repeat instances where we've had engine troubles with them. We've had a couple with cracked heads, loss of water and things like that. So yeah, there is a little problem with them actually.
I mean, people have a perception at the moment about Rovers not being built very well and running into problems. Is that fair to throw at them?
Not now, it isn't. No, what you've got, Rover unfortunately of late have had some adverse publicity down to obviously it being taken over, the factory, percentage of sales being sold, and build quality was an issue with them. They've obviously got a lot better than when they were originally launched. They are a far, far better built quality car now than they ever were, but they do come across a few teething problems compared to some of the other models that are out there.
So do you reckon if you get a good one, it's fine? If you get a bad one, then you're going to be in trouble?
Same old story. If you get a good one, you really do get a good one, there's no problem. If you get a bad one, unfortunately, it's going to be a nightmare.
This is one of the sportier 200 models, so it's fairly well specified.
Yeah, this one is the 1.8 engine, which is the VVC, like you say, which is the top of the range sports version. Quite a performance orientated little car. Power steering, electric sunroof, electric windows, remote central locking. It's got good specification.
Frighten us with what this cost new and what it's worth today.
This car, when it was actually sold new in November 1997, would have set you back just in the region of £19,000. This car now itself has actually only done 3,000 miles, and we have sold this vehicle for £7,600, which is nearly a third of its retail price.
This seems to be the problem at the moment. Rover are flooding the market with new and nearly new 200s.
That's right.
At discounted prices, so that's going to have a knock-on effect onto the used market as well.
That's right. Rover have actually turned quite aggressive of late to combat obviously people in the likes of Ford and Vauxhall. There's a lot of what we would call pre-registered vehicles, which are basically late registered vehicles with delivery mileage. We have now, as you've probably seen when you walk through the site, we have actually just imported some V-registration Rovers, which have got a saving of anything up to around about £2,600. So yeah, that will have an adverse effect on the used car prices, but what you've got to look at is the customer who buys one is buying a cheaper vehicle up front, so he's going to have to take it on board that when he comes to sell the vehicle, obviously it's going to lose a little bit as well, because you can't have it both ways. You can't have the discount at the front end and at the tail end when you come to sell it as well.
So which of the three, between the Rover, the Astra and the Escort, is going to be worth more in 2 or 3 years down the line when somebody wants to come and change these cars?
Down to specification on the vehicles, they're all similarly priced, except for this one obviously being the top of the range sports performer. If you're looking at those three here, I would say really that the Vauxhall Astra would keep better money out of the three. If you're going into the newer models like the Focus and the new Astra, then that would be a different kettle of fish. But out of these three vehicles we've got here, I would say the Vauxhall will keep better money. The 1.1 was introduced in the tail end of last year, basically to supersede the Rover Metro, which was finished off, so at least they had a small engined mid-sized car to basically to combat the market and against all the other competitors. Apart from the 1.1, of course they do the 1.4, then they do the 1.6, and then they've got the 1.8, which this model is, and then they also do the diesel variants as well, which is the 2 litre.
Forget what you hear about Rovers being bad cars, because on the whole they're not. There are 1 or 2 gremlins in there, let's be honest about that, but when you take something like this, the Rover 200, which looks more modern, it looks chic, it looks stylish compared to the outdated Astra and Escort, and that's because obviously it's, what, some 4 or 5 years further down the line, so it should do. But they really are excellent cars. Maybe not quite as big as the Astra and the Escort, certainly not in terms of accommodation back there for rear seat passengers, but take into account that they have better handling, better ride, a great choice of engines, including the K-series engine, and in this particular model, the 1.8 VVC engine produces 145 brake horsepower, and in a small car like this, makes superb fun, excellent driving, great handling, a great ride. The main problem area with the Rover 200 and with all Rovers would seem to be how they hold their value. This 200 has lost some 60% of its value since new, and that's despite it only having done 2,000 miles. If you want a 200, there are real bargains to be had, but beware the heavy discounting that dealers are offering on brand new models, and this will of course knock on into the used market. The current 200 will be restyled and revamped fairly soon and be called the Rover 25. A 96 N-plate 214 3-door will cost around £5,000 at a main dealer, but go prepared to haggle because there should be lots to come off that sticker price.